It is Steven here, and in today's video, we are going to be breaking down the must-start kickers for your fantasy football teams going into week number 7, ladies and gentlemen. We had a wild week for kickers in week 6. They did all sorts of crazy things with their legs, and we saw a heroic effort out of the Chargers kicker on Monday Night Football, Dustin Hopkins. You did it with a bum leg. That is why kickers are heroes. But ladies and gentlemen, if you are not already a part of the Catch fam, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join the best community in all of fantasy football. And if you do like this video or any of the other videos that we post throughout the weeks, it is always appreciated if you hit that like button. It truly means a lot to the channel. But most importantly, make sure to get in those comments. Leave a comment. Let us know who you're starting at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, or defense, so we can help you set your roster up before this Sunday, guys. But with all that said, guys, let's get into the must-start kickers for your fantasy football teams going into week 7. Up at number 1, we're talking about a guy that is slightly over 50% rostered. Want to bring his name up here to highlight the fact that he may have gotten dropped because of the bye week. That is Daniel CARLSON, the best kicker in fantasy football right now. In my mind, this guy should be viewed as a skilled player. In fact, before last week, this guy had more fantasy points than Matthew Stafford, for crying out loud. This dude is an absolute animal, double-digit points every single week except for week 1 where he had 9 points. Oh, what a stinker, right? This dude is a freak, man. At week 5, his most recent performance, he had 16 fantasy points. This guy gets so much kicking volume, and he is automatic, man. I mean, between him and Justin Tucker, right now, I'm telling you this right now, I don't know who's better. Because Justin Tucker certainly doesn't have the hair that Daniel CARLSON has. I mean, this guy's flow is absolutely brilliant. It comes down and it looks like a heroic man, a ninja, may I say, man. This guy is an absolute beast, right? But this dude, he gets it from deep 50-plus all day long. 3 of 5 games this season, he has had 50-plus yard field goals, and in some games he has had multiple of those, right? But he also just sees a heavy volume of the easy ones too, guys. Daniel CARLSON needs to be in your lineup against the Houston Texans. I think this is going to be a game where he's going to get a lot of opportunity for field goals. It's going to be a very safe floor too, I think, because this Raiders team should be able to beat the Houston Texans. And I think Josh Jacobs and I think Daniel CARLSON are going to be a big reason for that, guys. You need to go out and grab Daniel CARLSON if he got dropped, and if you did hold him through the bye week, you need to put this guy right back in your lineups no matter what. Up next, we're talking about Mr. Irrelevant from the 2009 NFL Draft. We're talking about Ryan SUCCOP, the kicker from South Carolina University, guys. This dude is steady Eddie, #1 kicker in the league right now, and he is just over 50% rostered. Go out and get him if you can. The reason why he is #1 in the league is, well, first off, he hasn't had a bye week, and that's why Daniel CARLSON isn't going to be there. But also because this guy has just been so steady. The extra point volume has been there all year long, just like it was last year, right? But this year it's a little bit different. This Tampa Bay offense is a little bit cloudy, a little bit messy, right? And that's why you get these big breakout performances like week 6 against Pittsburgh Steelers. He had 14 fantasy points, guys. And that's backing up 3 back-to-back 8-point performances, guys. Going up against the Carolina Panthers, I think he gets it done too. This is a great streaming opportunity. The Panthers do really well against the kicker position in terms of they give a lot of volume to the kicker position. I think that this is going to be a spot here where the Panthers defense is just tough enough to put a little bit of pressure on the struggling Buccaneers offense, but also just weak enough to let Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, Tom Brady roll down the field, get it in range for their man, Ryan SUCCOP. You need to put him in your lineups, guys. This guy's an absolute legend. #1 on the season. Put him in your team. Up next, we're talking about the man from Philadelphia. He was best friends with Meek Mill growing up. We're talking about Brandon McManus. Dreams and nightmares. Yeah, okay. Brandon McManus don't have no nightmares. All he has is dreams of kicking field goals, man. This guy's an absolute beast. #8 on the season. 13 fantasy points against the Los Angeles Chargers in that loss against the Chargers on Monday night, and that's backing up a 10-point performance against the Indianapolis Colts. What are we seeing from this Broncos offense? Okay, well, let me put it in a nutshell for you, right? We're talking about an offense that cannot get it done in the red zone. They cannot get it done once they're on their side of the field, right? But the Broncos get so much kicking volume, guys. This defense is electric on the Broncos side of the ball, but they cannot get it done on offense, right? That's why I think Brandon McManus is going to be a great kicker rest of the season, right? and going up against the Jets here this week, I think this is going to be a situation where the Jets defense is very good defense with Sauce Gardner, right? And I think that is going to put the Broncos in a spot where they have to rely on their man again, right? Because this is going to be a defense versus defense type of matchup. It's going to be an ugly game. You know, if it's a Broncos matchup, you know it's going to overtime, right? Because all their games, no points happen, and then it goes to overtime, and it's disgusting, right? But I think the kicker position is going to be really important here. You look at Brandon McManus all season long. He's had 3 games now with 50-plus attempts. He's getting it done, right? And he can get it done from any range, right? We have now seen that 4 out of his 6 games, he has had double-digit performances. The only 2 games he has struggled is San Francisco and Las Vegas. And what do those matchups tell me? Well, those are really good, high-profile teams, right? And while the Jets are playing good football right now, I don't think they're considered that kind of team yet. I don't think they're going to put that much pressure on the Broncos defense. So I think that Brandon McManus is a tremendous play here, guys. Go ahead, grab him. I think he's going to be a good play. And then he's got Jacksonville up next. Up next, we're talking about Will Lutz, the kicker for the New Orleans Saints, the man whose dad's name is Bob, and he was a teacher in high school. This guy got it done last week, and man, that was a fun one to watch for a kicker position. He had 14 fantasy points against the Cincinnati Bengals. When you look at Will Lutz's numbers this season, it has not been tremendous. This was a real breakout performance. So what I'm looking at is I'm saying, okay, Will Lutz, you keep from Georgia State. You have 6 years in the league. I think you're starting to get your wits about you, man. I think you're starting to follow suit. I think you're going to get good here. And going up against the Arizona Cardinals is really what's standing out to me, because the Arizona Cardinals are a great team to stream against for the kicker position, guys. They just cannot stop but give up points and give up points to the kicker spot. Jason Myers, another tremendous play this week. Just had 13 fantasy points. He was one of my must-start kickers last week. He just had 13 fantasy points against the Arizona Cardinals, and that's been a trend for the Arizona Cardinals, is giving up points to the kicker spot. When you look at the Saints team, it's getting Alvin Kamara back, which has really helped out this offense. I think they're going to get some more pieces back, like maybe Chris Olave for the Thursday night game. So this is going to be an Alvin Kamara show. Maybe Taysom Hill gets some action, and I think Will Lutz is going to be heavily utilized in this Thursday night showdown. Let's get it done, guys. Let's put Will Lutz in our lineup because he showed us last week, guys. So we gotta put him in our lineups. Will Lutz, the kicker for the New Orleans Saints. Up next, we're talking about a kicker that is still under 10% rostered. It's a kicker I just mentioned, Jason Myers. Last week had that 13-point performance against the Cardinals, and if you look at his numbers, guys, he is on a 4-game heater right now for the Seattle Seahawks, and that just so coincides with the fact that Geno Smith is starting to really play good football. The Seattle Seahawks team is playing really good football. And you look at the fact that they're playing the Los Angeles Chargers, right? Just gave up 13 fantasy points to Brandon McManus. I think Jason Myers could be in for a very similar day, very similar game script here, except I think that the Seattle Seahawks can put a little bit more pressure on the Chargers defense in terms that this could be a little bit of a more of a higher scoring affair. I think that there could be more points on the board. I think that there could be more opportunity for Jason Myers, but I definitely expect a double-digit performance out of my man Jason here. Guess what, guys? He is a top 10 kicker, and he's under 10% rostered. This is not even a deep league option anymore in my mind. Like, you need to be going out heavily, actively going and rostering Jason Myers, because he's just one of the better kickers this season. I know coming into the year, we didn't really want a whole lot of the Seattle offense, but guys, there's a lot of pieces here now. Metcalf, Lockett, Walker, Geno Smith now, for crying out loud. And we can't forget about Jason Myers. Go out and get him, put him in your lineups. He's going to be great against the Los Angeles Chargers, who are a good defense to go against the kicker position. Up next, we're talking about YOUNGHOE for the Atlanta Falcons. He's a very frustrating kicker to try to analyze throughout the week because he's so hit or miss. He is a very big boom, but also bust player. But I think in a lot of leagues here, you can take a chance on a guy. He's still over 50% rostered. He's just such a big name kicker. But at the end of the day, I think this is kind of the spot when you look at his numbers, right? He does have that boom or bust potential, but it does also coincide with he has bigger games when he plays against defenses that allow this offense to move the football, right? Let Marcus Mariota do his thing, like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, get open a little bit if Arthur Smith allows for Kyle Pitts to touch the ball, for crying out loud. But at the end of the day, I think the Cincinnati Bengals defense is exactly that. I think this is going to be a pretty even game in terms of Vegas betting odds. I think that this Falcons team has proved that they deserve to be in the hunt, right? They deserve to be in the mix of these playoff contending teams. I mean, they're a good ball club, right? And the Bengals are kind of struggling too, obviously just giving up a lot of points to the New Orleans Saints. So I think the Falcons are going to be able to put a lot of opportunity in the man's hands. I mean, YOUNGHOE, I think this is a good spot here. I think he could play a good game. Whether it's a big boom like he had in week 1, 18 fantasy points, I'm not exactly sure, but he has that potential here, guys. And sometimes when you're in your leagues, that's what you want out of your kicker. Just disclosure on YOUNGHOE, though, as opposed to some of the other kickers I mentioned here, he does have a lower floor than most kickers. So just note that, but man, he's got some big boom. So if you're in a matchup where maybe you really need a big spark to win against an opponent, he's a perfect kicker for you, baby, because he can get it done in a big way, probably bigger than any other kicker in the league. Last kicker I want to talk about here, guys, is a kicker that I thought had a little bit of a worse performance than I thought he was going to have against the Cleveland Browns. But that guy's name is Nick Folk, number 15 on the season. Just under 40% rostered. If you're looking for a guy that's a little bit safer than YOUNGHOE, but still has a bigger upside, that might be Nick Folk, because this New England Patriots kicker is an absolute beast. I love Nick Folk. I've always been a big fan of him, but 7 fantasy points, little disappointing against the Browns. And that game turned into a situation where the Patriots just started to steamroll Browns. That offense looked good. Zappi's throwing the ball around. He looks fantastic. This Patriots team is humming, right? The defense is obviously just shutting down everybody. So a little bit of my concern is against this Bears team. It's going to be a little bit of the same, right? The defense is going to shut them down. The offense is going to be able to move the ball. Maybe Nick Folk doesn't get the job done, right? But at the end of the day, you still look at the Chicago Bears defense, and you can even look back to the most recent performance against the Washington Commanders, right? I highlighted the Bears defense as a must-start defense, and they got the job done. They were very good. They are the best part of the Chicago Bears team. So I think that even though the Patriots are going to be heavily favored here, I still think the Bears defense is going to be able to do enough to be able to slow down the offense a little bit. It's going to really be, does Justin Fields turn the ball over too much, right? But guys, in any event, I think Nick Folk is going to be a good start here against the Chicago Bears. I think you can put him in your lineups. And then you got him against the Jets and the Indianapolis Colts over the next 2 weeks. And I think that's where you're really going to be able to see a lot out of Nick Folk. I mean, hell, the Nick Folk New York Jets game, that's a revenge game. He used to play for the Jets, so that's going to be a fun one too, guys. Go ahead and get Nick Folk, put him in your lineups against the Chicago Bears, and then have him ready for this revenge game against the New York Jets. And with that said, guys, this has been the must-start kickers for your fantasy football teams going into week 7. We got a lot of great kickers to watch this weekend. I hope that you get the right ones into your roster, guys. If you are not already a part of the Catch fam, we encourage you to hit that subscribe button. Come on and join the best community in all of fantasy football. And make sure to hit that like button if you do love this video. It truly means a lot to us at the channel. And more importantly, the most important thing ever other than these kickers on Sunday is that you get into those comments and let us know how you are doing in terms of setting up your rosters. Let us know how you're doing in terms of the season, right? What's your record? What are your concerns? What are your questions? We will help you set your team up, help you get your team right before Sunday, help you turn it around if you're struggling this season so far. We got plenty of time in the regular season of fantasy football, man. Let's get it done. Let's get to the playoffs and let's beat our opponents, right? But with all that said, you know what you saw, and you saw it here first at the Catch.